Hey, have you ever heard that they say that a picture is worth 1,000 words? Well, a chart is worth 10,000 words. And today we want to learn how to draw charts and graphs in Excel. The thing about charts and graphs is it's that part where you show off your work and you display your findings in a way where your customer or your client or your boss or even yourself can understand easier. I remember I used charts the first time when I wanted to see how I study, and I learned that on Mondays and Tuesdays, I study the most, so I should be careful never to lose my Mondays and Tuesdays. I did that thanks to the visualizations that charts gave me. I also learned that in every week that my studying increased, the next week there would be a slight decrease, and that taught me not to be demoralized when I'm in an increase. All right, let's see how we can use charts in Excel. So the thing about charts is that it's all about your imagination, and it's all about colors and your taste, and there's really no limit to it. I usually work on charts when I just want to have some fun and I want to free my mind a little bit. It's like art, but for data analysts, geeks like me and you. Alrighty, so if you want to use a chart, it's under the insert tab. You can see that the insert tab is all about pictures and pivot tables and blah blah blah, and over here there's a section for charts. Okay, now for charts you have to choose the range that you want to work on. So let's say that I want to work on the city and their annual income. And then over here you can see the various options that you have. But the most important charts that are used in data analysis are, well, this bar chart or column chart, which are mostly for categorization. Then we have the line chart, which are mostly used for trends over time, like how much have stock prices increased or decreased. We have the pie chart when it's important for us to show how much the shares are distributed. Like for instance, how much of my day am I studying, or in a company, how much of the resources are allocated to a particular department. And then we have the scatter plot, the great scatter plot, which shows a relationship between two or three elements. This is important when we want to know if we change one element, how it can affect the other. Like if we increase our prices, how will that affect our sales or our profit? Maybe our sales will decrease, but our overall profit will increase. You'll need a scatter plot for that. You can also click on recommended charts. While Excel will look at your data and recommend a chart for you. So if I click here, it's telling me, well, a clustered column chart will make sense, or a clustered bar chart. And then you have the one that I love, the Pareto or the histogram Pareto. First of all, it has a really cool name, and secondly, with a histogram Pareto, whoops daisy, let's bring it here so that we can explain it better. With a histogram Pareto, what happens is that it clusters Hamburg, it clusters Munich, so it doesn't display them as different values or different categories. It displays them as a single category. So you can see that our Hamburg stores are making the most amount, or they have the most amount of income among our chain stores. Now that's all fine and dandy, but the thing is that you might want to make some changes, like chart title here. You can change it, and you can write annual income in euros. And you can of course change it, like you can add a border to it. Why not? Let's add a solid line. I just hope that it's not like last time where I come up with the worst combination. So I'm going to go with black, which is the safest. I'm going to add some width to it. Let's make it quite, yeah, I like that. Or you can have a gradient line if you want, but I don't think that's going to be a very good idea for this. Okay, now there might be more elements that you want to change with this chart, and in the Windows you'll get these small boxes here which will easily give you access, but on a Mac you have to go over here to the ribbon and you can start adding elements. Like you can add an axis. So right here we have the primary horizontal axis, which is this one, and it's basically the primary information that we have, how much money they're making, and the primary vertical axis, which is for instance the cities. And you can of course change the colors of the plots over here. You can have various themes. For instance, this looks a little bit better for me, and really pretty much depends on your taste. And also you can have predefined themes like this one. You can also change these elements one by one. So for instance, if I click on the bars, I can make them orange. I am coming up with the worst combination again. And so like this is a terrible idea over here. I should make this white. The format part is probably the part that you want to work with the most. Okay, now let me delete this ugly chart. You don't have to be, the chart elements don't have to be next to each other. If you keep, so let's Berlin and Hamburg. I want to see the relationship between the annual income of each of these stores and the customer rating. Well, I've selected these two columns already. If I keep the command button on a Mac or the control button on a Windows, I can also select a column that is not connected to the rest of the table. So that's okay. Now I can go to insert, and again, let's add a column. I'm more interested this time in a line column, and so let's choose this one. And so now we have both data sets. We have the cities, and we have their income, and we have their customer ratings. Now, do you notice a problem? Yeah, they're all on zero, aren't they? Well, that's because when we're talking about income, we're talking about the hundreds of thousands of euros, whereas when we're talking about customer ratings, we're talking about values like 4.2, 3.1. The maximum value is 5. So this isn't going to work for us. Okay, so what we do is that we click on one of these data points, and then we right click for Format Data Series. Over here, it's telling us where we want to plot it. We want it to be on a secondary axis. There you go. Did you just see that happen? Now we can see if there's a relationship between our income, just visually looking at it, between how much income a store makes and the ratings that the people, that the customers give it. Well, just by looking at it, doesn't look like there's any relationship, although it requires statistical analysis, but it's still giving us a good idea. Okay, and just one more thing that will make your life much easier. You can use quick layout over here to change how your chart looks. So for instance, I can use this. Yikes, that doesn't look good. Of course, if I make it a little wider, maybe it'll look better. It does look better. All right, there you go. You just learned the most essential and fundamental things that you can do and you have to do when it comes to charts. Remember that charts are about conveying the messages that your data are trying to tell in an easy and quick way. So you want your audience to understand the message just by looking at your charts quickly. And of course, use the right color. So for instance, if something's going well, don't use the color red. And if something is terrible, don't use green, because green usually denotes something is going well. Okay, and just as my takeaway message to you, remember to tailor each chart based on the audience who's supposed to learn from it. Go ahead and play around with charts. There's a lot you can do, and I'm sure you're gonna love it.